Take two. All right, welcome back to this episode of What's Next, Friend? First, apologies to you guys. I think I left off at OTS when I graduated from OTS in 2002. And it's been a minute since I've recorded and posted, but today I want to give a little bit of an update about what's next. The What's Next Friend, and then also kind of catch you guys up to kind of how I wound up here, retired. So I want to go from OTS to my first assignment and talk about some things there. And while I'm doing all those things, I'm going to be making a shrimp Caesar salad because that's what I'm having for dinner tonight, and it's a bit of a change of pace since it feels real weird and static. Honestly, I can't go back and watch the videos because they're very cringy to me. But when I do like go and look at the different clips and stuff, I'm just like, ooh, I'm just really just sitting there talking with my hands and rambling on. So this episode, I'll be doing the same thing, but at least my hands will be actually actively doing something. Okay, so my first update that I want to share with you guys is, drum roll please, I will be starting at DePaul University this fall. So I've decided on a school. I think when I was telling you guys, I was like, hey, I don't know which school I'm going to go to. I don't know really what I want to do because I want to go into the theater arts space. I want to do something like that or something in community service work and things like that. So I was just trying to really figure it out. And I knew I wanted to be in Chicago because of OPC. So I was deciding between schools, decided on DePaul University for two reasons. They have a very robust liberal arts program, which is amazing. And their theater school is top notch. Like 95 to 98% of the graduates from the theater school work in the arts space. And that's what I want to do. If I can't work at, if I must work, let me just say that. If I must work, I would prefer to work in the arts in some capacity. So I will be starting at DePaul this fall. Right now, the theater school is only a BFA. That's the only degree they have. And the Bachelor's of Fine Arts, you have to have like 4 years. It's very, very stringent. And I didn't want to necessarily go through all of that. But I did want to go to the theater school. So what's happening in August is they're going to be opening it up to a Bachelor of Science, which means I can do my 2 years, because I only need 2 years to get the degree. I can do 2 years in the theater school, even though that degree program is not open now. Long story short, I will be going to DePaul and I will be going to the theater school. I even have registered for my first classes. I have a film class. I have a stage production class. I also have a really interesting class about Black women and Black feminists, which I'm really excited about. And then I think another environmental course. So I have 4 courses already that I'm starting in September. So that's the what's next. Moving to Chicago. I still haven't found a place to live yet. That's a whole nother story. But yeah. So moving to Chicago, going to DePaul. I think you already knew I was moving to Chicago, but I am going to DePaul. So I'm so excited. But anyway, so that's that. Now, catching you back up. Let's get back to the story of how I wound up here now and retired. So, OTS, wild time, interesting time. You know, I learned a lot about myself and my self-discipline in OTS. I had always been able to kind of hold myself accountable to things, like even before I joined, like I would tell myself, and I remember thinking when I first joined the Air Force, like when I enlisted, and you know everybody was worried about everything, and I was too, but I had enough discipline to know, like, hey, the only thing I know that they're going to ask me to do is run this thing and do that thing. So I'm going to be disciplined enough to, with the things that I can control, I am going to be the best at what I can control. I can't control what's going to be on like a written test or what's going to be on any sort of like promotion test. But if they need me to be a certain physical fitness thing, I can completely control that. So I was already disciplined in that. What OTS did is it let me know that I can be disciplined in other areas, things that are not just physically based, and I can trust myself more and really just, take up my space. It was hard to get there. I was with you know how it is being a black woman in certain spaces. But anyway, so graduated from OTS September of 2002, and I get to my first assignment, which was Vandenberg Air Force Base, California. Now, I don't have a card. Jasmine didn't do a card for Vandenberg for the first time because she was living with my mom, and I went to OTS. She was with mom, and then I PCS from OTS to Vandenberg. She stayed with mom until the summer, until she came home in the summer. So I don't have a card for Vandenberg for her, at least not the first time. Vandenberg. So I get to my first assignment as a officer, okay? I'm a lieutenant. I'm a bright and shiny, but an old bright and shiny, because most of my peers are, straight out of college or people who failed out of, I'm at Vandenberg because I am a 13 Sierra, and 13 Sierra is my AFSC it stood for Space and Missiles Officer at the time. Now it's just a space officer, but it was an interesting bag of people, right? We got the people who genuinely wanted to do that career field, and you had people like me, prior enlisted, that knew that if they chose that, they would get selected. And then you had people that failed out of some other things. So we had pilots that couldn't make it, navigators that couldn't make it. Basically, people who were in aviation spaces that couldn't make it through aviation training. Excuse me. They couldn't make it through aviation training. They would send them to be space operators or to 13 Sierra because it was the closest thing to being an operator. So that was the kind of mixed bag of folks that, like my peers, that I was running into. Mind you, I was virtually everywhere I went, I was older than everybody. I was the only one with a kid. So I was making different life choices and different decisions. Because, I'm thinking about my baby and all that kind of stuff. And these, folks are just ready to party, having a good time. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But the most amazing thing happened at Vandenberg that has yet to happen really since that assignment. It was a bunch of black people. We formed the BLTs, if you will, Black Lieutenants. And what was really, really cool about that is that we were all young and black and gifted, and we had such a unity. And I don't think I ever experienced that in any other base. And from that BLT union, I met the third most important person in my life, Nia Bluford. She and I have been friends since 2002 when I became an officer, and she was a member of the BLTs. And me being a parent, being a single parent and a lot of older, I wasn't really doing all the, they were partying and hanging out and all that kind of stuff. And me, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, well, how am I get my household goods? What am I going to do? Should I bring her out? Should I wait? I don't know where I'm going to live, So I got different things that I'm thinking about than what they're thinking about. But Nia welcomed me in, and she is my fanciest friend. I love her to death. Anyway, she's one of my closest friends. And we met in 2002 through the 2002 through the BLTs, and at Vandenberg Air Force Base. And Vandenberg's in California. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but Vandenberg's in California, which Nia had lived before. She's from that area. So, when we would go to trips to LA, or just to try to go, to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, or just do things in LA, she had family and friends and knew people in the LA area. She had grown up in the Bay Area. And so it was just nice to have a friend who knew the area and was nice. And, I really felt kindred spirit with, because a lot of times we were the only, black girls in spaces. There were other people, but she's the only BLT. Well, let me not say that. There's another BLT that I'm close to, Tony Raphael, him and his wife. They were, well, he was a member of the BLT. She was back in Fayetteville, North Carolina before before he got his first assignment. So I think those are the only ones that I really talk to now. But it was a really nice, comforting space to just come from, you know, the enlisted corps, which is very, very different. Excuse me, in terms of community, and then to be in this space with officers, to go through OTS with the people that I went through OTS with, and then to come to this first assignment and then just have all of us just, it was great. Yeah, so the BLTs, Vandenberg, my first assignment at Vandenberg. Now my living situation, this is the first time that I lived with 3 people. Was this my first time having a roommate? Yes, this was my first time living with a roommate that wasn't in a training setting, right? So in basic training, I had, you know, all the roommates. And then in OTS, I had the roommates. But in terms of, oh no, Tanikia, I keep forgetting Tanikia. Tanikia was my roommate in at Yokota, but she was the only one. And it was only until I got married and moved out. So we weren't roommates for very long. But then anyway, so roommates, but not in a military setting. So we rented a brand new house. It was me, Tanya Walters, and this guy named Ginseng. I can't remember what his first name is. But it was the 3 of us in this house. And Tanya had a cat. And if you know me, you know I don't like cats. Like, oh my God. I think that they're Satan spawned, but whatever. So Tanya had a cat. And I did not like that. But she was super sweet. Jance was really nice too. Like, he introduced me to Harry and David, like the fruit. Like, his mom would send him like fruit of the month stuff, and I had never heard of that before. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is so nice. Your mom sent you these oranges? He goes, yeah, she sends me this fruit of the month, blah, 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 blah. So he introduced me to that, which is kind of cool. So there's that. What else about Vandenberg? Oh, also Vandenberg, I was fortunate because I didn't have to go to missiles. So that's a flex. For those of you, anybody who's happens to be watching this and is familiar with the 13 Sierra career field in the early 2000s, for you to not go to missiles is kind of a flex. And I think I really think that it's because I was a single parent. Although I do know other single parents that it didn't matter, they still had to go to missiles. And the reason why that matters, the reason why it's so significant as a single parent is, so the missile career field is where you have to basically spend 24-hour shifts, sometimes 48 hours at work, like in a silo, it's like you're literally guarding the nuclear missiles. That's what a missileer does, right? They're the people that are responsible for maintaining, securing, and ultimately deploying, if you have to, the nation's nuclear weapons, not the ground-based nuclear weapons. Okay, so to get that job as a single parent is like a nightmare. Like, what do you do with your, you know what I mean? You have to have a live-in nanny. You have to have some sort of support in order to be able to do that job, because you're going to be gone for, days possibly. And so my first assignment, graduated from school. I did not get missiles, which was a blessing. I wound up getting there's a deep space radar in Florida, and I can't remember the base now, but there was a deep space radar in Florida, and that was the radar site that I had got selected to first. So excited. We used to do these humiliation rituals that I think about now, when it's time for assignment drop. And assignment drop is basically the Air Force telling you where you're gonna go next, right? And so we would have these rituals where it'd be like, oh, we're all gonna gather around and go to the club, and you're gonna spin a wheel, and wherever that lands is where your assignment is. And everybody's gonna cheer and be excited or whatever. And so when I did it, first of all, I don't want to say 90, I'll say 85%, 85 to 75% of the assignments, or the people who get those assignments out of training, 13 Sierra, get a missile assignment. And the missile bases are Minot, North Dakota, Malmstrom, Montana, and what's the other one? Wyoming, somewhere in Wyoming, right? Anyway, it's these northern tier bases. Basically places that people don't want to go. Not a lot of black people. Anyway, so when I get mine, I do my turn, and it says Florida. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know, I was just laughing that it was Florida, right? Because I knew I wasn't going to be in this like northern tier spot. And there are black people in Florida. So I was super stoked about that. But then 3 days after I get that assignment, after I spin the wheel, I go through the humiliation ritual, and they tell me this is where I'm going. 3 days after that, they basically tell me, hey, Lieutenant Barr, we're gonna have to pull your assignment because somebody else had a humanitarian. Meaning that the assignment that you were going to go to, we need to send somebody else because they have like extenuating family circumstances or some sort of something that's some sort of humanitarian reason that we need to send them there. But you know, you can either go to, what do they offer me? Oh, you can either go to another radar site. You can go to Parks, and Parks is up in, where is that? It's in the middle of nowhere too, a northern tier base. Or you can go to Beale, which is in California. I think it was Parks and Beale were my choices. They didn't give me another choice. Nope, it was Parks and Beale. I can't remember what the selling point for Parks was, but I was like, California, all day, every day. And so I wound up getting assigned to Beale Air Force Base in California, which, as a first assignment, as a, you know, young, or I don't want to say young, a new second lieutenant, it wasn't a bad gig. Jasmine moved there with me, and actually I have a card for Beale, so I'm not going to go into Beale without the card because I want to kind of read Jasmine's perspective of that assignment too. But Vandenberg was great. Like I was at Vandenberg multiple times. I was there for training. So I graduated OTS, went to Vandenberg for the training, for the space operator training, or 13 Sierra training. And after I went to Beale, I went back to Vandenberg, which I'll talk about in a different video. And what I remember about Vandenberg for the first time is the base is in Lompoc, California. And there's a literal federal prison, like that's right outside the back side of the gate. And there would be like prison breaks. And there would be like these notices when you're going into the base or exiting the base that say, hey, there was a prison break at such and such. Please don't pick up people in your car. And I'm like, what? Wild. Really, really close to wine country. When I lived with those 3 roommates, when I lived with the 2 roommates, the one that had the cat and then the other dude whose mom brought him fruit, we lived in Santa Maria, which is a little bit, what is it, north of the base? No, it's south, I think. Santa Maria is a little bit south. We lived there, and it was really close to like San Luis Obispo, and is that the big burner or the little? It's a small burner. Okay. It was close to San Luis Obispo, and what else was? Oh, not Solvang. Solvang was like another city that was kind of in there that we would go hang out at sometimes. I mean, I didn't mind Vandenberg, really. I mean, there wasn't a lot to do. Did I even date anybody there? As a matter of fact, I don't even think I've been talking about like the people were dating. I don't even think I talked about my personal life in that regard, but there was a guy, at Vandenberg, as I recall. if I recall correctly. What else about Vandenberg? Oh. So, me and Nia, our friendship, funny. So, Nia always talks about how she tried to introduce me to some guy. Like, I don't know, I cannot remember this guy. But she is forever telling me, like, Kim, I don't know why you don't remember this guy. He was so into you, and he wanted to date you, but you didn't want to date him. You wouldn't give him the time of day, and blah, 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 and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, girl, I don't remember who this boy is. But what Nia and I would do is we would go salsa dancing. I introduced her to salsa dancing, and what else did we do? We would do something else, and she'd be like, you're the only person that will take me to do some of this crazy shit. But I'm like, you know, it's just what we do. But yeah, what else at Vandenberg? Yeah, I lived downtown, lived in San Luis Obispo. Oh, Vandenberg is where I got my cell phone number. I got that phone in 2002. Lord have mercy. I swear I haven't been drinking. Not yet. But I have been taking meds. If you haven't noticed, I got a little bit of cough and I've been taking meds. But anyway, so I got my cell phone number in 2002. And I also got Jasmine's phone in 2003. And so we've had the same phone numbers, me since 2002 and Jasmine since 2003, and they are California numbers. Like mine is 805 and hers is 530 in terms of zip code. And it's so funny because whenever we like give out our phone number or anything, people would be like, oh, you're from such and such. Or, oh, you're from such. I'm like, yeah, I used to live in, Santa Maria. I used to live in Lompoc. Or I used to live in whatever. I think mine is Santa Barbara area, I think. And hers is like the Santa Maria area. But yeah, the road trips, the 405, the traffic. So even back then, the traffic in California was stupid. Even back then. So this is like well over 20 years ago. I can only imagine, like, Jazz and I went there, we went to California in 23, I think? No, 24. Yes, in 24. And like, I don't know, we took a car somewhere, went on some hike or whatever, and the traffic was just like, oh my gosh. I still can't believe like people have to suffer through that traffic all the time. I don't know that I could do it. I wouldn't want to do it. Like, oh my God. If I ever lived there, I need to have all my things with like in walking distance. And the only time I would get in the car is if like I absolutely 1000% had to get in the car, like life or death, like I have to get like to an airport or something. Yeah. Because the traffic is dumb. Okay, so Vandenberg, end of OTS, the what's next. Oh, in terms of what's next, and yeah, these are gonna get better. I know, I keep saying that. I started this saying, I'm gonna learn how to edit, I'm gonna learn how to do this, it's gonna get better, it's gonna get better. I haven't done that yet, but listen, hold me to it, because it's not over. This is a whole year of me doing this, and it's only been, 80-something days, so let me cook a little bit, okay? But I am gonna go back a little bit and talk about the what's next part. So I did visit Chicago around Mother's Day. Mother's Day weekend I spent in Chicago. It was amazing. I took some videos of the campus. I took like time-lapse videos while I was there, and I'm gonna see if I can't post them there, because the theater school is amazing. It's so dope. And I really, really like the Chicago area. I do like Midway Airport. However, let me tell you how amazing my daughter is. So, I had a school orientation or some sort of open house the Saturday before Mother's Day, and I was just gonna stay in Chicago for Mother's Day and then try to go tour some properties on Monday and then come back on Tuesday. My daughter the sweetheart that she is, surprised me and flew into Chicago for one day for Mother's Day, which was amazing. That was so sweet. But her experience was harrowing. So she was like, which airport should I use? I was like, if you're gonna come, do Midway. Because Midway just seemed to be closer to the city than O'Hare. And so she flew in Midway. But she had like the scare of her life. Because apparently the runway on Midway is not that long. And I guess the plane was coming in too fast. And as they were coming in, they touched down and took right back off. So she calls me and was like, Mom, I think we're being hijacked. I'm like, what is going on? Because, you know, I'm on my way to come get you. And she's like, we literally touched, landed, and came right back up. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? They didn't say anything, didn't get on the line, whatever. She's freaking out, I'm freaking out. But come to find out, it happens at Midway all the time because of the short runway and this, that, and the third. So that is just a disclaimer for the Midway airport. And I'm like, that is very good to know. Because I do intend to be making use of Midway and not going to O'Hare. It's just so far away. But, so anyway, that was amazing. But I just really like the Chicago area. I was staying in the Loop. I didn't really like my hotel, but I liked being in the city. Oh, it's so nice. Kay is there. I met Kay through Nia. Also, some friends from Jasmine that have basically became family. They're there. And I don't know, I just really like the city. I think I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be just fine there. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna like it. So I'm putting the finishing touches. I am putting, so the salad's almost done. I'll show you guys when I'm done. This is the shrimp. It was already cooked, but I have to really make sure it's cooked, you know what I mean? I got it from Sprouts. I might have enough for 2 salads. I'm not gonna eat that much. Okay. And then I'm gonna put some fresh Parmesan. Right now I'm just finishing up so I can show you guys the salad. Oh, should I put the croutons first? Or the Parmesan? I'll put the croutons first. Croutons. Alrighty. And then some fresh Parmesan. Meeny miny moot moot, meeny miny moot moot. Alrighty. And just put a little Caesar dressing on her. Should I have wine or a Coke? What should I have for dinner? Wine or a Coke? I don't know. Oh, it smells so good. But it's so thick. I might have to. Find a specific spoon. It's fine. I'll just use this one. This one is too big. Oh. Okay. Alrighty. Here is the salad. I'm going to obviously mix all the dressing and stuff up, but I don't know if you can see. I got tomato, cucumber, shrimp, and the dressing is in the middle, which I will mix all up, as you know. So what should I have to drink? I am taking cold medicine. Maybe I should just stick to a soda instead of having wine. I will be responsible. I will be responsible. Well, guys, this was a long one. If you stuck around, thank you for sticking around. Next up will be Beale Air Force Base, my first assignment as a space operator, and maybe some more what's next. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.